सुनाई दे रहा है क्या?
सुनाई दे रहा है मुझे मुझे सुनाई दे रहा
Fantastic. I really like how you started. Screw the music, he said. Somebody said the audio is not syncing. Like, my voice is syncing. No, screw the music.
है. No, because the speakers are somewhere else, and I just wanted to,
But
I'm
what is the
actually
music sync? How can you sync music in a live chat like this? Music is just in the background.
this is you know who this is? No, Reese, Zinaida's brother in Goa.
Huh.
This is him. The sync
That's
part
it.
of the question was from him. And he's not in the music field, so let's forgive him. He's in the racing and football scene.
I think we should file this under ज्यादा शाना बनने की कोशिश.
कोशिश मत करो. जो तुम्हारी मतलब जो तुम्हारा फील्ड नहीं है उसमें पार्टिसिपेट ज्यादा मत करो.
Hey, but I really want to hear your introduction to me, man. I want to know what would be your introduction to me.
You know, the thing is, I'll tell you something, okay? I don't know whether I'll do the right job over here, but from whatever I have known you for, I think I know you for over 20 years. From 90s,
Longer.
98.
Longer, man.
Much longer.
I joined MTV in 97. That's 23 years ago. I knew you before I joined MTV.
Let's just say that 97, say if I know you, what I know of you is not what many others do, because you know what, even in your professional side, you are very professional. You are not the kind of guy who many people might know who you are on a personal front, what kind of a person you are. You understand? And what happens with the people on TV is there's an impression that the world has created about them. They judge you by the roles you play on TV. Whether it's a movie, whether any of that sort, they judge you based on that. And I think even I have done that. Yeah, even I have done that with a lot of them. Then we end up meeting them. Then we end up spending some time with them, and then we become those buddies, like just two buddies. Like, it doesn't matter anymore who you really are. It's about who you are as a person. So I think my introduction to you as a person is more important than my introduction to you, who you are in the profession. So what I have experienced the same, Nikhil, throughout these 23 to 25 years.
I would like to think that I've changed a little bit in that time.
Yeah. I'm coming to that. In fact, in the beginning, obviously, man, when I met you, you were also in your 20s. I was in my 20s, and that Josh and all of that was there. So there is a certain side to us also that we must have possibly rubbed
Is that
each other.
what we're calling? Is that what we're calling it, Josh?
Josh. I think it's a Josh. I think, at that time, the 20s, because sometimes I end up talking to my friends about the things that we have done in our 20s.
All that I can say is thank God there was no social media back then. क्योंकि तो लग जाती हमारी. Some of the things that we've done back then, there is no evidence of it, which is good.
No, 100%. मैं वही बात करने वाला था कि when we met at that time, the biggest for us was MTV, man. Music के मामले में हमारे लिए MTV था. कुछ था ही नहीं. For us to watch an MTV, what was that section which was the pool MTV pool
Grind.
dance?
Grind.
MTV Grind for us was like, it was the biggest, it was the most wanted thing for us to watch. You know what I mean? Like, the Grind was the best fucking show ever on the TV for us. Because
it's just that because there was hardly anything on TV back then. I think a lot of India thought it was soft porn.
Yeah,
in a way.
And with that, there was good music.
There was great music, but I remember this. Back then in the 90s, I asked somebody, why do we play MTV Grind so late at night? I didn't know that there was a system of self-regulating and self-policing things that the channel did. So they said, no, well, we can't show it during 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the evening because there are lots of school kids watching MTV at that time. And apparently, the rating numbers in North India, it used to come on at 11:30 or at midnight, were through the roof. It was one of the highest rated shows on MTV back then at 11:30 at night, 12 o'clock in the night, because everybody's just been glued to it.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were glued to it for the music, I have to say.
You know what? For some of us, it was both, because, like, see, some of us were into the music. into the music scene. So man, we got to see these chicks with like sexy booties dancing by the pool, wet, everything. Oh, sab chalu hai, and some good music also was playing, and they would
Some
have
great hip hop. Do you remember Fab Five Freddy? There's a host called Fab Five Freddy.
I can't place him right now, man.
He was like one of those old time hip hop boys, man.
यार
Really cool.
उसके बाजू में 100 अच्छी लड़कियां हैं तो I was watching them. I think so. That's why I don't remember this guy. उम्र भी वो थी कि Fab Five Freddy के लिए टाइम नहीं था भाई. but
Yes.
I want to ask something. I want
Josh.
to ask you something. Josh, man, like seriously, I'm telling you, like for the events, even for the events that when you and me hung out off stage and any of those things, it was all okay. But during the event, while you were there and stuff, and while any of us would come, man, there was some blood rush within us. Like we are going for an MTV event, we are going, and if we knew anybody in the scene, so or be blood, matlab, like it's fucking fully pumping. So,
Clem,
like,
I actually think that energy that you're talking about, right? That blood rush, it was very characteristic of Bangalore as a city. Because when I joined MTV, I went to a lot of other cities. I went to Hyderabad, Calcutta, of course, Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Nasik, Chennai. And that's when you realize that sort of energy that Bangalore had around dance music and club culture and just music in general was special. And if you think back and you try and analyze why it was so special, because I've gone on record many times to say that Bangalore was the cradle for dance music for the rest of India. Yeah, Bombay had cooler clubs and more celebrities, but Bangalore had the ability to create culture, if that makes sense. And I think that was because of all the expat students that used to study in the dental colleges and medical colleges and engineering colleges in Bangalore. Bangalore was one of the educational hubs at that point in time. People
True.
came from Canada, from Africa, from America, from Malaysia to study in Bangalore, and they brought their music with them, which is why it had this amazing melting pot of different cultures. You remember the club, right? When we used to go there.
Yeah, I'm witness to this.
Start with commercial music, then hardcore hip hop at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then 4 o'clock the hip hop crowd would go out to the poolside, and then the trance crowd would come in, and we all coexisted in one. Like now, you have a hip hop night, you have a retro night, you have a techno night. But in Bangalore back then, all that music, one night, and it was all compartmentalized, and we all sort of vibed with each other. We knew who the hip hop crew were, we knew who the trance music fans were, we knew who the commercial music fans were. That energy was very, very special to Bangalore back then in the mid-90s.
I think Bangalore and the second city that had it was Pune, because Pune also had a lot of expat crowd and stuff
Yes.
like that. But Bangalore at that time in the 90s and early 2000 was on the top of its game. I came to Bangalore in 98, Nikhil, and I'm telling you, it changed my life only from the music perspective. For what I was doing in Bombay, I barely started DJing in Bombay, but I was partying in Bombay before that, like many years, But then what I saw in Bangalore was like, I was like, man, this is not in this country only. Ye country mein hi nahi hai.
Yeah.
Because even the local people here didn't behave like locals. They behaved like the foreigners that were studying over here. The culture, they adapted so much that from the accent to the dressing sense to everything was manipulated by that, and the music sense was like
It was something else.
Way ahead of its game. And
In fact, when I moved from Bangalore to Mumbai, my opinion was that DJs in Mumbai back then took far fewer risks than the DJs in Bangalore. I thought DJs in Bangalore at that stage were definitely ahead of their game, ahead of where the rest of the country was musically, technically, everything.
man, can I tell you
With
something?
the notable exception of J49. J49 in Mumbai at that time, I came in and I was like, man, there's some special shit going on here.
Yeah. I want to tell you something funny. If you remember Avalon was that late night joint that only used to start at a certain time and go on till breakfast hours in the morning, right? So I got my second job over there. My first job was done in 2 months. My second job was over there. And I was working under Akbar Sami. So the man had a fabulous collection of records and all of those elements in a nightclub. The club had turntables and stuff. Everything that a DJ console needed. I considered myself to be one of the most luckiest bastards. Like I'm like, fuck, my life is made. You know, I'm working with one of the best in the industry, and I've got all the best equipment around me and the music. But when it came to playing music in the crowd, man, I loved hip hop at that time, and he had some fabulous records. But we couldn't play the third hip hop song.
Understood.
I could play Return of the Mac.
Hmm.
I could quit playing games with my heart, because that was like, it came in and it just captured everybody. Like it was like, and if I had to play the third hip hop song, I would have had at least 5 people at my console door saying, "Hey, होगा तुमसे प्यारा कौन बजा रहा है यार? ये क्या बजा रहा है यार?"
What about Coolio's Gangster's Paradise? You could play that as well.
We could play that as well, but like, you know, it was like a one-off song. Like a one-off song, and that also you have to place it. Would you play it as the last track? Would you play it as a beginning of some set that you're going to pick up and all that? Because, you know, there were only few songs that a certain audience knew because of its music or because of the way the song was. But that's it.
Wasn't there a mashup? Wasn't there a mashup of Gangster's Paradise and Professional Widow? Was there a mashup?
No,
why is that?
Professional Widow was a way higher BPM song. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I'm saying, no, didn't somebody do like a house version of Gangster's Paradise using Professional Widow's bassline?
Was there? I'm gonna hunt this one down now. Now that you're telling
I don't know why it's something, one batti has gone off in my head. Maybe I'm imagining it, or maybe I'm hearing it in my head and it doesn't really exist.
That way, even that time, that some of the mashups that few DJs from Bombay and few DJs from London made, man, they were exceptional. They were like too good. Let me know good in Bangalore if you quit playing there. Reina, this Reina, I don't know if you know Reina from Dubai. He's a friend of ours.
What's he saying?
Know him if you see him. You'll know him if you see him. He's one of the most hated friends in my list.
Oh, Brown Coat is saying it doesn't exist. Brown Coat would know. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Brown Coat, then tell us who made the house mashup of Gangster's Paradise. Let's find it. I'm sure it's there. It has to be there. Somebody must have made a house mashup of it.
So I wanna ask you something, Nikhil. Is that when we, you know, the introduction bit went into something else only. So what I wanted to tell about you is, as a person, man, I think I have grown fonder with you every year, and every time I meet you, you know, I don't take it for granted from our last meeting, but for me, it's like very important. Like, how is our relationship today also when we met? And I've never been disappointed with things, because, you know, there was a time when no matter whether I knew you, I used to have a little bragging rights for myself. For oh man, I know Nikhil Chinnappa, okay? Like, because no, I'm serious. Because I think you're like Ajit, Goa Ajit, no? You are one of the oldest existing VJs with the brand, right? I don't see like many of them. I mean, we know so many of them.
I have begun to suspect that I might actually be holding a world record for MTV's oldest VJ. I don't know how to check on this, because my first contract with MTV was 1997 September, and it's now been 23 years.
Yeah,
and the other guy who was really old was the guy who did MTV News, Kurt Loder. Kurt Loder passed away recently. I think last year he passed away. I read some news about that. But Kurt was in his 50s when he was an MTV presenter, because he did MTV News. So I suspect that I might just somehow be holding that record now.
Can we just wait for another year? Don't quit this job, buddy, so that like let's make it 25 years and blast it.
Roadies, one more year. Clement, tu banega roadie.
अच्छा ये रोडीज का चल लेट्स डू वन थिंग, क्योंकि यार ये आस्क वन क्वेश्चन फॉर द निखिल के मामले में आज के तारीख में निखिल इज ओनली आई थिंक वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट नेम, बिकॉज ये रोडीज का चक्कर में इज लाइक like I said, no, what we knew of Nikhil from MTV and those years of Nikhil's VJing, and now it's completely changed. It's become like these shows. It's not music related, right? So जो भी है, जो है सो है, आज के तारीख में है तो है, you know. Some of them have some questions for you, buddy. So it's okay if I ask you?
Yeah, feel free. It's just that I think life moves, generations move in cycles of 6 years. So something that's relevant to somebody today, 6 years ago, if you asked them something from that space, they probably wouldn't know, because there's a generational shift. This is my theory. It's not been proven by anyone.
So we'll start with this generation theory, but I want to go back into over 15 years to 20 years or 25 years time, and I want you to possibly give names of 8 to 10 of your most favorite tracks, so that a lot of them over here today can actually Google them and possibly hunt
That's
them.
gonna be.
Huh? ठीक है, अपना time
That's
ले ले यार.
very very hard to do. You know, it's like asking a DJ, hey, what's your favorite track right now? You know, you've got 5,000 tracks on your hard drive or your pen drive. It's very difficult to name like a favorite. But we'll try it. Okay, let's try it.
We'll try. Okay. Oh, who's your favorite gang leader in Roadies?
Probably Run Vijay, man, because I mean he's not a gang leader now. He hosts the show, but in conversation, because I think because he's been with the show from its inception.
True.
He is very clever when it comes to figuring out what's going to happen next or how to play a certain part of the show. So I saw this in the first year that I was a gang leader. He was a gang leader as well that time. It was Prince, me, Run, and Neha. And invariably, when we'd get into a task or we'd get into a situation, he was always not just 2 steps ahead of us, 10 steps ahead of us, because he knew the format of the game so well. But it was a tricky space for him, because if he wanted to, he could have closed his eyes and won the show. But he would always try and help the others, so that it wasn't about the gang leaders. Eventually, it was about the contestants, right? So he would always try and help the contestants so they could compete fairly with each other and make a great season. It was never about him winning or him losing. But from a mental point of view and from an ability point of view, it's very on the ball, very tough to beat.
So Lata, I don't know if you're here and you're watching the show right now, and I hope your question is answered.
Why is Miss Mattu saying lol?
हाँ, then मैं अपना Miss Muttu यार.
Oh, Kevin Fernando is saying Miss Mattu is my music. Guys, Kevin Fernando is an indie artist from Chennai. He's now migrated to Canada. His song Windy has just crossed 100.
You do a
Yeah,
lot
did a lot of lives with him. He just hit 100,000 views on one of his tracks, Windy. It is not about flatulence. It's a lovely song. But check out Kevin Fernando's music. He is in the comments right now.
A lot of them are asking how.
That is sweet boy.
Okay, Kevin Fernandez, we're going to be all Fernando. एक ही बिरादरी के हो गए यार. Yeah, I see a lot of lives between you and him. Evenings when you keep pulling some of the people and do some lives. I've seen him frequent very often. A lot of them over here asking कि मुझे रोडीज बनना है. तो एक सिंपल सा ट्रिक है रोडीज बनने के लिए. ये जो म्यूजिक स्कूल जो ऊपर आप देख रहे हो वो ज्वाइन करो. ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज हमारे साइन अप करो.
Correct.
ठीक है. पहले आप अच्छे डीजे बनो, और जैसे ही आप एक अच्छे डीजे बनोगे या म्यूजिक प्रोड्यूसर बनोगे, हम आपको स्टेप 2 में प्रोग्रेस कर देंगे. ठीक है निखिल?
Exactly.
Yeah. Direct roadies बनने मत जाओ. There's step by
Do
step
we have a legal disclaimer over here? Do not believe anything we say because we're full of shit. ऐसे कुछ है?
Yeah.
छापना
See,
चाहिए.
for those who know me over here, I think a few of them will know me because they have logged on through the music school, and there are many that we have today over here because they are your fans. Again, my introduction to Nikhil is Nikhil. जो निखिल को आप मिलते हो वो मतलब how do I say, he's a very nice guy, very soft. हमेशा मतलब मैंने आज तक निखिल को below a certain degree of tone in his voice मैंने सुना ही नहीं है. मतलब गुस्सा कभी मैंने देखा ही नहीं है.
क्या?
देखा है वो स्टेज में. I'll tell you those. वो अलग बात है. When you're trying to do a job and when it's really mind fucking that it's not getting done, and then you throw a tantrum, it's different thing. खाली फुकट का तो यार.
खाली फुकट का नहीं, but I'm not an easy person to work with. Like when we're building the music festivals, and I'm working with people.
I have worked with you, and let me tell you one thing, that you gave me the opportunity of being stage manager with Sunburn while we were associated with the brand back then, and because of you, I would be on the lineups. Almost every year I was there, and then it came to stage management when I don't know what about me, and then I opted for it. You gave me an opportunity, and I've worked with you. For you, what I've observed is that get the job done. Let the job be done. How you do it, it's not my concern. Get it done. And I think that's a great
Yeah.
attitude, because otherwise you would not be who you are and where you are today if you didn't have that attitude in you. So,
It's actually, Clement, if you to get serious for half a second, it's a very simple philosophy. If you yourself want to do well and want to excel, you must surround yourself with people whose aim is to also excel. If you surround yourself with great people, you will end up doing great work. After that, don't micromanage them. If you trust somebody to do something, then let them get on with their job. Explain your vision to them. If you say, okay, this is my idea, this is how I want things to run. After that, don't micromanage. Then you have to trust that person to be able to understand what you expect from them, realize what their own potential is, and then, like you said, get the job done. Doesn't matter how you do it, just get it done.
so this is one more thing I wanted to tell you, is that over a period of years, that there was something that came inside me, is I started having the fear of mic. You know me on a personal level, man. Ki I need
Really?
to be, yeah.
But you talk like, dude. Every time. So, guys, I don't know, like a lot of you may not have hung out with Clement outside of office hours or outside of work hours, but if you're in a room at an after party or before going to a gig, Clement is the life and soul of that room. He is just talks non-stop, is hilarious, makes everybody laugh. So to hear you say that you're uncomfortable with the microphone is like a bit weird. Like, really.
No, but I'm very serious. In fact, I started thinking about it also. Ki that initial years of my DJing, when there were fewer genres that I had to play, I would be more open about like things about playing not only playing the genres, but even using the mic. Over a period of years, something went wrong in me. Yaar. Like I was just not. First of all, like too many genres to handle. I was okay with that, but there's a lot about the dance floor now that became about the DJ and the connect between the people. Right? And I think possibly festivals are responsible in a certain way for these things, because with that, over a 1 lakh audience in front of you, 2-3 ghanta silence, matlab when people have different genres that they follow. The DJs created that. Like, there was a conversation going on between the DJs and the crowd. And I felt like somewhere it is important also. Doesn't matter who you're catering to. No? But dude, I used to panic when I held the mic. I just didn't know what to say.
But why?
I don't know. I really don't know. Then I started going back in time, and I started even, at the festivals, when you would hold a mic, or even when you came online or whatever, when you would talk, right? I'm just trying to think, even Barker, for that matter, when you guys talk, you guys are just talking with the flow, and the language is so simple, and it's just like shit yaar, ye itna aasan sa isne baat kiya hai, but so much sense it makes. मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता हूँ? I'm telling you the truth, Nikhil, that it has taken me years, and now over a period of few months, that I can like boldly take a mic and do some blah 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 on the mic. But otherwise, the moment you give me a mic, like Shine and all these guys, they are after me like, please use the mic when you're talking. You're playing such bad sets. When you're doing a commercial set, when I'm doing a hip hop set and stuff, you like connect with the crowd, say something, and I'm just, the moment they say that to me, I feel like, man, I'm going through a divorce or something. Like, oh shit, I can't do this. Like, ye maine kuch galat kar diya. I can't do the mic. But thanks. But I'm telling you, Nikhil, in many, many ways, because I'm telling you, I don't know how you did it when you started it, because one possibly needed to have that talent in them to be a VJ and that kind of language on TV and stuff. But while I witnessed you on stage, you would come, you're handling like 6-7 stages, man. You're going, I've followed you. When you come, when you hold a mic, when you talk to the crowd, there's no script written. There is no script written. But I would hear very carefully the things that you would say. And it was just the most simplest one-liners. And I was just like, ये कैसा आ रहा है यार, ये आदमी के अंदर से ये कैसा हो रहा है? मेरे में से क्यों नहीं आ रहा है?
But the trick is that you talk to one person in the crowd. You don't talk to the crowd. You talk to one person in the crowd.
These are the tricks. Like seriously, these things sometimes, like being 20 odd years in the profession also, this one simple line that you just said, ki the trick is to speak to one person in the crowd today is going to be registered in my mind for the rest of my life.
Yes, but there's layers to that trick as well. You also have to realize when to switch up, and you go from talking to one person in the crowd to then talking to the crowd. So you start in the front line, depending on how many people there are, and then you sort of work to the back of the crowd.
You know, now let's make this actually for some time about you, because honestly, Nikhil, I think there's a lot about you personally that possibly people don't know, and I feel कि आज थोड़ा सा जानने दे. You know, I recently saw you, not recently, a couple of months back. You were doing your Friday yoga poses. What was it called? You called it something.
Flexible Fridays.
Flexible Fridays. Buddy, the first time I saw that, the first time I saw you with an image on your Instagram with your Flexible Friday, it took me about 40 seconds to figure out how the fuck did you get into this position, tie yourself down? Because I was not aware of you doing yoga. And the pose that you did is a way advanced pose for, you know, someone who has started yoga. तो वो कर ही नहीं सकते वो.
No, I've been doing yoga on and off for a long time, but after we went into the lockdown last year, I started doing it more regularly because it was that one thing in the day that was like a routine. And you would do yoga. Now I do it every alternate day. And yeah, it's fun. It just kind of helps your breathing. It's one of those things that I've gotten into late in life. I used to love going to the gym earlier on and, you know, pushing weight and trying to lift weight is still something that I find important. In fact, the best workouts that I've had have been when there's been a combination of yoga and weight training, because the weight training does help the yoga get better because you get stronger in holding the asanas, and then the yoga with the flexibility helps the weight training get better.
You know, you have a lot of dedication, man, Nikhil. You know, we were practically neighbors in Bandra. You know.
Yeah.
My dedication to meet Nikhil was more over a pani puri than in the gym.
Yeah, but I still love the pani puris as well. So it's, you know, this is wonderful saying. This is wonderful saying that I really like. I keep forgetting who said it. It's everything in moderation, including moderation itself. Which basically means ki sab kuch enjoy karo. But once in a while also go completely mad. Like, don't always do things in moderation. Sometimes just do one full tode-fode session as well.
See, on that note, let me maybe you know, the things you say make so much of sense, and you are involved with so many things that possibly you need to balance your life more than a normal person. So on that note, maybe see today you are busy with MTV, you are busy with music festivals. You're busy with club life. You're busy with organizing your own satellite festivals in Goa and various other cities. You are a husband. You are a father. You are a mentor. You are a VJ. So many things.
Shit, you're stressing me out now.
हाँ? और कुछ है क्या?
You're stressing me out. अरे इतना सारा काम है. अरे ये कैसे करूँगा?
But Nikhil, ये मालूम है हम लोग कितना बैठ के बात करता था. Where I am only telling you, boss, chill the fuck out, यार, take it easy, आराम करें. This has taken a toll on you.
Bro, we're in lockdown. I'm fully chill now. Correct. I'm working on a new podcast though, which is interesting.
Correct. So you know how? What is the most? I mean, it's very simple to say keep your mind sane, ye wo sab ghanta. But what are the couple of things that you do to ease out from all these jobs that you do? Like whatever it could be. Like how has your lifestyle changed from earlier to now? And what would you strongly recommend all the youth and people who are involved with music or anything else that stresses them out? What is the couple of things? What is your advice to them?
Okay, so a few things. Firstly, if you need to spend some me time, if you need self-help, there's lots of information that you can find on YouTube. I think personally it's very important to find some me time. Like my wife will sometimes in the morning have a cup of tea and read a few chapters of a book that she's reading right now. And that half an hour or 1 hour in the morning is her me time that she likes to spend by herself. And there's many different things that I do that I find is me time as well. Having a cup of tea and looking out of the window is me time. Yoga is something that's really helped me find that sort of me space right now. But all of these things, I really believe that there's a time and a place that you arrive at that juncture in your life where you feel like you need to do these things. There was a phase of my life when I was in my mid-20s to late 20s when friends of mine like you were going pretty crazy about, or just didn't understand how I was doing all the things I was doing because I was doing so much. And I didn't feel the need to rest. I didn't feel stressed. I didn't feel overworked because I loved every single thing that I was doing. Maybe that contributed to what eventually led to my thyroid, which was just too much of frenetic activity and not enough calming down. Now that I'm living with my thyroid condition for the past 4 or 5 years, and it's all under control, everything's good. I've begun to enjoy those me moments, whether it's reading a book with my daughter, or having a cup of tea, or doing yoga, or watching a TV show, watching Formula One. There are these little things that you discover, give you joy and give you peace. But again, there's a time and place for it. For the longest time, my wife was trying to get me into yoga and meditation. I'm still not into meditation, and I got into yoga at a time that I got into yoga. If I tried to get into yoga when I was in my mid-20s or 30s, maybe it wouldn't have worked. Maybe I wouldn't have stayed with it or stuck with it. So there's you also have to, in a way, listen to yourself. It sounds very simple. It sounds very easy. But you have to just kind of say who you are, where you are, what is important to you, and how you want to approach that. There's a lot of logic in arriving at these emotional decisions, if that makes any sense. You sit down and you go, hey, what do I need to do now? And I've seen that in your life as well, because you used to be quite a crazy person at one stage of your life as well. You were running around, you were doing a million different things yourself, traveling from city to city, and you were very stressed and very overworked. And over the past maybe 4 or 5 years, especially since the music school started, you seem to have found a center for yourself. I don't know whether that's true or not. But finding that center for yourself is important. What that center is, it can mean different things for different people. So I don't want to tell someone ki tumhe ye karna chahiye. Har din tum, do pranayam, or have a cup of green tea, or watch a sunset, or listen to some chill music, or read a book. Those are things that might work for me. It's important for you to find your own center and what works for you. And you'll find it at a time when you will find it. You just need to be in tune with yourself and in tune with your body to understand what's going on.
On that note, can I ask you something? Are we ever going to witness Pearl back on stage some point?
I think so. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I think so.
That's it. To all those Pearl fans, man, Pearl possibly, like, I'm sorry out here, but I think Pearl has way bigger fans and way more fans when it comes to a DJing compared to you.
1000%.
Compared to you.
1000%.
And it was amazing to see how she captured the dance floor so quick, because she wasn't in the scene before. No. She wasn't there, she was flying, dude. She was flying, and then like, uska man kaise ho gaya? She always loved music. I know that. She was buying records, but when she got into the scene, was सीधा मतलब ना ऐसा निकल पड़ा उसका, and then she just stopped. So even now we have
she stopped because she's become a mother, and she's a full-time mother. But I believe there's far too much talent in there for her to walk away from the scene completely. There's just this, because the thing with her, what I found exceptional over the years of listening to her play and watching her buy records, is that the music that she chose was very difficult music. Most people would not play that music because it's not the easy commercial track. It's not the easy groove. It's not the easy vocal hook that everybody likes. And I still remember this. Pridz's Aftermath. Remember that song? 14 minutes long. Back then we were ordering vinyl, and then after 2 weeks or 3 weeks the vinyl package would come to your door, and hopefully the vinyl would not be damaged.
Aftermath was who was there? Eric Prydz, right?
Eric Prydz. It was either Eric Prydz or Siresdi, one of the two. One of the two monikers, right?
One of the aliases.
So one batch of records came, and Pearl took out the records, and a few days later she was sitting on the floor and she was listening to all the records, and there was this one record that had this, the Aftermath has that stab. It has that stab that keeps going. And I went to her and I said, what is this record you bought? Yeah, what is this nonsense? And couldn't understand what the heck it was. Then she's like, don't worry, it's okay.
Are you serious?
Cut to 3 weeks later, Smirnoff Experience. Okay?
Huh.
She's playing after Sasha. And of course, she's playing an incredible set, and she drops Aftermath. And the whole place exploded. And I went running up to her and said, what is this record? What is this record? And she said, it's the same record. And he said, what is it? What is this nonsense? I was like, oh shit. So it's that ability to find gems and to know where to place them in a set and to know how to play them in a set. That's why I'm saying there's far too much talent there for her to walk away from the scene forever.
You know what's amazing about her? She has never been a resident DJ. She's never
She has.
been.
She was resident DJ at Sky for 2 years.
She's
Sky
at
Lounge
Sky.
in Juhu. V Lounge. It was initially called Sky. V Lounge. The first name was Sky. She was resident there. She and Navid.
Correct. She and Navid. Correct. I remember. That's when I think Navid also came back from Bangalore, and you know, the whole. You guys became really close to each other. During that time, Pearl was just getting into the scene, and I think that's why like she was DJing over there on a regular basis. But I want to tell you about this time when you know, she progressed and she became a name. At that time, she was not playing regularly. She would only be playing on, you know, like certain very big nights or certain clubs or certain festival stages like that. To put a set together like that one-off set also is not a joke, because you know what you hear in your house on your small speakers and what you hear in your headphones and what you hear in that big sound system can be totally different.
Yeah.
And it amazes me that out of the 2 hours, not a single track is like a filler. Every track, the way she progresses the track, that's why and that energy while she's playing over there, it's like a world of her own. She's, but you know what I mean?
And there's a, I mean, yes, for sure, I'll praise her a lot because I love her, and I really genuinely do believe that she's a fantastic DJ. But I've seen this in a lot of her sets. They're not party, dancey sets. They are sets that are just riveting. I remember this one time at Sunburn that she played, and was a 90-minute set that she played. For the first 30 minutes, nobody danced, but not a single person left, because the music was so compelling. This was the year that Nirbhaya died.
Okay.
And we were there at Sunburn that year, and because it was all in the news. It was in the news at that time. And I'd of course come back late at night. I'd slept and I woke up in the morning and Pearl was sitting at the edge of the bed and she was crying because it was on the news that she had passed away in Singapore. They'd moved her to Singapore and she passed away in a hospital there. And she was just sobbing. And I had to get up and get ready and go for the festival. It was the last day of the festival. We went to the festival. Yeah. And of course, the owners of the festival said, no, we can't talk about this because, everybody's mood will go down. And I told the owners, I said, I think Pearl is going to say something. She never talks on the microphone, but I think she's going to say something. And they said, Nikhil, you have to stop her. Because everybody's mood will kind of get spoiled. And I said, look, I've never told Pearl what to do or what not to do. She's her own person. I'm not going to be able to control what she's going to do when she gets on the stage. And before her was Dirty Vegas. Dirty Vegas played a really good set. And their music is fun, happy, bouncy. And there were people in Goa. And Nirbhaya's name was in the news. Everybody knew about it. Everybody had realized what had happened that day. But they were
one of the most touching topics. Everybody was following it.
Nobody wanted to touch it. It was a very touching topic. Nobody wanted to touch it. Pearl got on the mic and she kind of came and her face was swollen because she'd been crying the whole day. But she was there to do a job. She was there to play a set. And she picked up the mic and she never talks, ever. And she said something to the effect of, we all know what's happened. And today I'm playing for all the girls in pain and all the girls who've suffered for so long. She said something it was very heart-wrenching. It was not a happy speech. Let me put it that way.
I was 10 minutes.
Drop silence.
Went on stage. I spent 10 minutes with her. And those 10 minutes with her, like, how do I say, I felt squeezed like this, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just didn't know when she took every step and went on the stage, I didn't know what is going to happen right now because like it made, already that topic had touched a lot of people. We were also not too happy about it. After I spoke to her for 10 minutes, it drained me even more, man. It drained me out. To think from the intensity of what she just told me and what
from a woman's point of view, yeah. I mean, for sure, all of us as guys felt it as well. But to be a woman living in this country and to have gone through that and to kind of feel what they're feeling, I mean, you can't. You can try and empathize as men as best as you can. But I have a daughter now, and it worries me what girls go through. All girls go through.
How old is her? Nikhil,
I saw
her the other day, and like
She's
How old
3.
is she? 3 years.
3.
So to those who didn't know, Nikhil is a husband, a father. He's got a daughter of 3 years old. And what's her name, Nikhil?
Anuka.
Anoka. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I know.
So
what you
coming
mean.
back to that,
I know exactly
coming
what
back
you
to
mean.
that Sunburn set, when she started, she said that, I'm playing for all the women in pain, and it wasn't just about Nirbhaya. It was about being a woman in India, being subject to all those years of abuse through school, through college, from relatives, from friends, whatever. And the first 20, 30 minutes of a set, 45 minutes of a set, it was just heartbreaking music. I don't know where she found that music from, but every song seemed to just be drenched in agony. Every song that she played just felt like it was a cry from the
Dark.
soul. Dark, but melodic and anguished. And then from there, it was a 90-minute set. From after about 40, 45 minutes into a set was when she started to build it up a little bit. And it was almost like breaking through on the other side, like being in a horrible, dark place for 40 minutes. And nobody left. Nobody was dancing, but nobody left. People stood there riveted, heard that music, and then came out, and she brought them out dancing on the other side. For me, it was, as a fan of music, and I'm a big fan of John Digweed and how he tells stories with his music, it's difficult for me to pinpoint another set that had such an emotional impact on me as a listener, and how that journey of 90 minutes happened on that day. So yeah, too much talent for her to walk away.
Yeah, no, you know what? This wasn't a question that I thought I would ask you actually, but because her name came and I know her and I love her. Honestly speaking, I have a lot of love for women in this business. Because like, man, it's amazing. When you see them out there. And Pearl had a command, and with that command, I would not be happy to know that she's walked away and she's not going to come back. She's walked away for whatever personal reasons, and I would be one of the most happiest to see her back on that stage one day. Because even for me, no matter, I've been over 20 years in this business. Even today, I like to learn. And every time she's on stage up there, every time you hold a mic, every time I have some friends over here like Martin and all these guys, the smallest way from a line that they say on the mic to a tune that they would mix with something. For me, it's learning. I take that, and I sink it in. So for me, Pearl also has been someone that I'm like, wow, every time she goes on stage, I want to see ab kya karne wali hai. Because she does something different each time, and I would love to see her back.
Yeah,
Please tell
a
her
common
there's a lot of
complaint from the
talent of
dance
hers.
floor. A common complaint from the dance floor used to be, Pearl, Shazam doesn't work on your tracks.
And I hope that still happens. Please tell her
I
that
think Shazam's evolved now.
convey this message to her, though, huh, Nikhil?
Yeah, I will for sure. I mean, if you're gonna save this live, I'm gonna ask her to come back and watch this conversation between us.
Of course, I'm going to. I don't know what the Instagram situations are. If they cut after 1 hour or something, would you like to continue it?
Yeah, we can carry on. I don't know whether they cut after 1 hour anymore. I think it can go longer.
अगर हो रहा है तो I'll stop and stop this chat, save it, and then we'll come back again. Because honestly, like there are a couple of things I need to ask you, and we're almost like 15 minutes in the chat, and it's been informative, it's been fun, it's been serious, and I think we'll just continue more. Okay, so I have more questions from your fans, man, and as many.
It's really strange. Never ever happens in Mumbai, but the electricity went off, which meant my router switched off, which is why like. Can you see here?
Yeah,
That's the one. I'm now on 4G now. I don't know how well this is going to work, but hey.
Okay, तो ठीक है. तो जब तक चल रहा है. We'll see how. Oh yeah, where's the beard? I shaved it off for this live, Nikhil. I was kind of down with the health.
Yes, like the beard. I couldn't recognize you.
I had 1 month. Yeah, man. Maybe my beard was slightly more longer than yours also, I think. कल मैंने shave किया, and man, इतना बाल निकला. I felt so good because I don't have hair over here. So shave करने के टाइम बाल दिखा मुझे यार. Otherwise it's just stubble, right? So मजा आ गया. But anyway, so I wanted to look clean. I didn't want to look sick and Man, one thing, all of you guys, this second strain is just grabbing everybody. So stay as careful
Just
as you
stay
can.
home. No, not just stay careful. Stay home.
Stay home.
Article from the CDC. It is now airborne. They've got conclusive evidence that corona is now airborne. So please stay at home. Don't go out. Even when you're in a room with people, stay away from them. Wear a mask indoors as well. Just stay safe.
You know, from 79 kilos, I dropped to 66. I was really bad, but
in 2 or 3 weeks.
No, so actually over a period of time, I dropped to about 74, and from 74, I dropped to 66.
Wow.
Yeah. So, whoa. Anyway, वो उसकी बातें हम लोग फिर कभी करेंगे. Now we'll talk about these things. 4G is working not bad actually right now.
Not bad. It's working. Chalo.
We have a question. Yeah, we have questions for you, Nikhil. We have when is MTV Select 2.0 coming out? Is there a 2.0?
MTV Select 2.0. That I don't know whether MTV is ever going to bring out MTV Select 2.0, man. We kind of worked on some ideas last year during the lockdown, but they didn't solidify. So maybe we'll come back to that in a while. But I think there's definitely merit in bringing back Select in some shape, form, or avatar, but we don't know about it as yet.
What about someone's asking me? I don't know if it's a girl or guy because the name doesn't tell me much. But yeah, Nikhil sir, इतने smart कैसे हो?
Sorry. Say that again. Bye.
Nikhil sir,
just say that again.
Smart कैसे? Nikhil sir, आप इतने smart कैसे हो?
I think he's confusing me with Prince. मैं स्मार्ट नहीं हूँ बाबा. मैं बिल्कुल भी स्मार्ट नहीं हूँ. मैं पहन लेता हूँ टी-शर्ट, जीन्स.
You have some very hardcore fans from old school. The new ones, I think, because of this whole roadies. I don't really follow roadies, to be very honest. After
the new ones are confused, Clement. The new ones are very confused कि यार ये निखिल roadies का judge क्यों है? इसने अपने life में क्या किया है? इसको क्यों judge बनाया? Because they know that Ranvijay is the OG of roadies. They know that Prince is the guy who's won lots of reality shows. They know who Prince is. They know Neha is an actor and she's well known from Bollywood. They know that Varun Sood is also an athlete. He's been an MTV presenter. He's won a lot of reality shows, participated in reality shows. Raftar is a rapper. और ये निखिल, ये बुड्ढा, ये क्यों जज है? Nobody knows. That's what I meant by this 6-year generation gap, right? The 6-year generation, they have no idea what I've done in the late 90s, early 2000s, what I've done at the music festivals or generally in life. You're like, हाँ, इसका ये रणविजय का दोस्त है ना, तो इसलिए इसको जज बना दिया होगा. हाँ, बस वही है. Nepotism. No, but nepotism की वजह से.
Like I see questions like घर में कैप कौन पहनता है? मतलब आप घर में कपड़े भी क्यों पहन रहे हो यार? आप घर में हो ना, अगर you know what I mean? Like there are some questions over here. घर में कैप कौन पहनता है? घर में चश्मा कौन पहनता है? यार अपनी मर्जी है, आपको जो चाहिए पहनो. घर पे कैप पहनो, मत पहनो.
मैं चश्मे इसलिए पहनता हूँ क्योंकि मेरा थायराइड का प्रॉब्लम है और मेरी आंखें काफी सुधर गई हैं. But earlier on, my eyes used to be like really bulgy and they used to like scare people. So if I was without glasses, people would be like, "What happened to you? What's the matter?" And I think now people have gotten used to the thyroid eyes. It's still there a bit. Yeah. But I just wear glasses because I think it's
So nicer.
Same thing with the cap. It looks nice.
A lot of them, I hope your question is answered because आप लोग इतना जज करते हो. मतलब आपकी उम्र भी वैसी होगी. आप एक इंसान कभी-कभी स्टाइल के लिए कुछ करता नहीं है, मगर कुछ चीजें छुपाने के लिए करता है क्योंकि यार he or she doesn't want to deal with these things. So निखिल, मुझे पता है गए 6 या 7 सालों से he is physically suffering because of thyroid और जिसके वजह से उसके आंखों में बहुत प्रॉब्लम हुआ है. It bulges out, it scares people and they either start getting concerned or they want to know ये क्या हुआ है आपके साथ. So the best thing for him to do is यार वो चश्मा पहन लेता है. तो इसलिए आज अगर आपका ये क्वेश्चन आंसर हो गया हो तो अगले बार मत पूछना कि घर में कौन चश्मा पहनता है.
It's really funny. It's really funny, Clement. Somebody about 3 or 4 years ago actually made an informative YouTube video about why I wear glasses, and it went viral. It's got some crazy views. So if you go to YouTube and say, "Why does Nikhil Chinappa wear sunglasses?" or "Nikhil Chinappa thyroid," it'll probably come up. They've actually made a proper information-based, like an infomercial. Thanks for that.
Thanks to that, man. And also आज की तारीख में यार घर के बाहर नहीं जा सकते आदमी, यार कुछ भी नहीं कर सकता. So जो घर के बाहर नहीं कर सकते आदमी, वो घर के अंदर कर रहे हैं. तो कैप पहनो, सूट पहनो, बूट पहनो, जो पहनना है पहन लो यार. हाँ, अपनी मर्जी है. ठीक है. So anyway, I hope this 6-year generation kind of educates themselves and changes the way they talk, changes their approach. More questions, Nikhil. How to approach the initial stage of industry career? समझ में आया?
हाँ, समझ में आया. कहाँ से शुरुआत करें? कहाँ से शुरुआत की जाए? That's a tricky one. Actually, it's not. Do the basics. If you want to start your career in any field, whether it's as a painter, a musician, a DJ, an architect, you have to be well versed in your craft. And let's take DJing as an example, because Clement, you're a DJ, you're running a music school. The craft of DJing is not learning to play the music, because learning to play the music is like learning to drive a car. You can learn to drive a car in about a week's time, 10 days time. Similarly, you can learn how to operate the machinery that is used to play music in about a week or 10 days time. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in order to become a DJ, or in order to become Lewis Hamilton, that's a lifetime's work. So understanding your craft is really important. Understanding your own abilities, and then using logic every step of the way. कि अगर मैं ये करता हूँ तो ये होगा, अगर मैं वो करता हूँ तो वो होगा. A classic example I'll give you is of people that we meet all the time. Once you become a little well known in Mumbai, you always have people coming up to you and saying, "Sir, मुझे एक chance चाहिए, मुझे एक chance चाहिए, sir, मुझे actor बनना है, मुझे singer बनना है, मुझे बस एक chance चाहिए, एक मौका चाहिए." And I keep telling people the same thing कि मौका अगर तुम्हें चाहिए ना तो आएगा, कभी ना कभी तुम्हारी जिंदगी में जरूर मौका आएगा, मगर जब वो मौका आता है, are you going to be able to make the most of it? Are you going to be in a position कि यार जब मेरे को एक्टिंग का मौका मिलेगा ना तो मैं इतना अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस दूंगा कि मुझे कोई भी साइन कर लेगा. But they don't want to join acting school. They don't want to learn the art of scripting or working with a script. They don't want to learn how to use a camera or how to use light, because these are things you can learn. You have to learn about the craft. And we see this on roadies all the time. Sir, आप मुझे लेके जाओ, मैं जर्नी पे दिखाऊंगा कि मैं क्या करता हूँ. I'll prove myself, sir. मैं 100% दूंगा. They haven't come prepared for the audition, because that involves work, that involves dedication. वो कह रहे हैं कि आप मुझे choose कर लो, मुझे एक मौका दे दो, मैं जर्नी पे दिखाऊंगा कि मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ. So if you really want to get into a profession, firstly, take your profession seriously. And if you do get good at your profession, whatever it is, singing, dancing, DJing, you will get discovered. You will not need that helping hand to say, मुझे एक मौका दो, क्योंकि यार बहुत सारे लोग, आयुष्मान को मौका किसने दिया था? आयुष्मान खुराना. When we did India's Got Talent together, that guy was obsessed about acting, not about being a star. He just wanted to act. He was just passionate about acting. He used to read scripts. He used to watch movies obsessively. He used to learn about the art of movie making. And then when that opportunity came of Vicky Donor, he was ready. तैयार था, पूरी तरह से तैयार था वो. But अगर आप तैयार नहीं होगे, तो जब वो मौका आएगा, आके हाथ से निकल भी जाएगा. हाँ.
But do you know what? Like मैं क्या बोलना चाहता हूँ कि यार we got into the music business. Whatever work we started doing it from the 90s, early 2000s, when there was a lot of transformation. There was a lot of things that came into existence from music field to any other fields, like from the whole internet point of view also. So we saw the changeover. We saw the struggle. आज की तारीख में क्या है ना कि यार ये पूरा information वहाँ डाल के रखा हुआ है. So do you think that कि whether this generation that exists right now and the next generation, are they ever going to learn कि यार ऐसे कुछ चीजें करनी पड़ती है, वो मौका पाने के लिए?
It's a sink or swim situation, Clement. जिनको सीखना है वो सीख लेंगे, वो आगे बढ़ेंगे. जो अपने हाथ पे बैठ के कहेंगे कि यार मुझे कोई चांस दो, मुझे कोई मदद दो, उनका कुछ नहीं होगा. And forget DJing, take any career. It's like saying, सर मैं खाना बहुत अच्छा बना लेता हूँ, मगर एक रेस्टोरेंट खोलने का मौका चाहिए मुझे. If you really want to open a restaurant, learn about running a restaurant. It's not enough just to cook. And in this day and age, if you want to be a DJ or an artist, you have to learn about the art and the craft and the industry. It's not just enough to say कि मेरे पास बहुत अच्छा collection है. I know what the top 10 songs are. अरे, the top 10 songs. Everybody knows what the top 10 songs are. I can play a great commercial set. I can play a great underground set. मगर उसके साथ तुम करोगे क्या? So can everybody else.
The same way, like, you know, how today's generation kind of needs to go back in time and figure out a few things, learn a few things. I also feel ki some of us from the older generation also need to stop being stubborn and adapt how things are today also, because even
Totally, dude. Totally. I mean, over the years, you know this. I've had conversation with people who've been on the scene for a long time who says, "Arey, ye bacche, what do they know? I've been DJing for 20 years. You know, they're trying to teach me." I'm like, yeah, you know what? Because the guy who's been DJing for 2 years knows a bunch of tricks that you haven't even heard of. Because
Correct.
you're so obsessed about being a 20-year-old DJ. So the younger kids that are coming in who are working hard and who are hustling, when they get going and they do something, then the older people start to get a little insecure and say, "Oh, but this guy's only been DJing for 2 years. Why is he playing at a better time slot? Why is his name bigger than mine on the poster?" Because यार वो ज़्यादा काम कर रहा है तुमसे. तुम तो बस बैठे हो कि तुम कह रहे हो कि तुम 20 साल के लिए डीजिंग कर रहे हो, 10 साल के लिए डीजिंग कर रहे हो. ये जो 2 साल का लड़का है, देख कि क्या काम कर रहा है, कैसे काम कर रहा है.
Kevin,
और फिर
Kevin
वो-
is like, please tell my dad this.
Kevin's dad is a Backstreet Boys fan.
Oh God. But you know, Nikhil, I think when we all meet now again, and like some of these topics that we can really indulge so much in talking, and like even today, you know what, like learning bits and pieces from others is so important, man. So important. Like I'm happy that I got this opportunity to come into the music scene during the time I came in, because there was so much of transformation that happened from just like a music channel on TV, from the format of DJing in a nightclub to where it has reached today. So you know, we are really lucky to witness these changes and still be here around here, and you know, do things whatever is right today, whatever you and me are doing. I'm sure that कुछ तो सही करते रहेंगे कि है scene में.
I would like to give all upcoming DJs one invaluable tip. If you want to succeed as a DJ, be a nice person. Because I can tell you this, especially in the DJing community, if you're an asshole, you will not get anywhere. Because everybody will know you're an asshole, and people talk amongst each other, and you won't get booked for gigs if you're an asshole. Just be nice. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by nice and being supportive of each other. Vachan, of course, is my own cousin, my brother. And there was a gig that I played in Bangalore. I think Vachan was the resident of Hypnos at that time.
Bacchus?
No. This was even before that. There was some place.
I was the resident DJ.
It was a white club on Infantry Road. Is that the place?
That was Hypnos. So maybe he was playing there as well.
He must have been playing there. Okay.
Yeah.
I had played in Bangalore the previous day, and I had a shit set, like the worst set in my young nascent DJing career, which I just started off. It was really bad. And Vachan called to chat with me about something, and I told him I had this really bad set, man. I don't know why I'm DJing. I think I'm going to quit. He said, just bring your records and come to the club. He was playing that day. I think you're right. He was playing that day, and he said, I want you to play. And he stood next to me, and he made me play for an hour. And I sort of rediscovered my mojo. There must have been about 20 people in the club at that time, or 30 people in the club. But just that little support and the helping hand to say that, Nikhil, no, just shut the fuck up, come to the club, play your records. It's not the end of the world if you play a bad set. So for DJs to help each other out and to be nice to each other is very, very important. For you to be a nice person and to help other artists is very important. Because if you see how the Dutch do it, Hardwell and Tiesto took along a lot of DJs with them as they grew. So did Armin.
Collaborate.
They collaborate. They take people with them. In India, we find that a little difficult to do. It's very important to collaborate and help each other out and to pull each other along as you grow. So be a nice person.
I think this be a nice person is a quality that is required irrespectively in whatever one does.
In any field. Any
you
field.
know, in any field, I feel. And honestly, I'll tell you something. A month back when I suffered the COVID scene, okay, I tried to keep it really hush because, you know, people are going to call and all the explanation and the talking that you want to do, you're not able to. But I'm so amazed that like over a period of time, for whatever reason social media exists, the amount of people that have reached out to me their concerns, their calls, and none of this would happen if there was no bond between the two of us, right?
Correct.
Including you called me while I was in the hospital, and trust me, I feel so blessed that whatever you just said sometime back, it is the most important quality that one needs, and that quality can actually keep you alive, surviving, and floating for the rest of your life. And you kept saying, "Don't be an asshole, don't be an asshole, don't be an asshole." Only one thing came to my mind, Akhtar.
He's on. He's he's in the comments right now. He's saying, "Clement, be nice, please."
Every
Okay.
time,
Are you saying
every
Akhtar's an asshole? Huh?
every time you said asshole, 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 I was thinking of that one asshole friend that I have in my life. I'm telling you, he just woke up. He's just woken up now. He's Mr. Netflix, dude. I swear to God. But I'll tell you one thing, Nikhil. When it came to me wanting to introduce you, also, no, this one simplest thing I wanted to tell you is you're a nice person, man. You're a nice, like when I meet you, I like to hang out with you. I like to find you in a crowded place if I know that you're there. I like to hang out with you. I like to have not a lengthy chat, maybe a little bit of fun element, one fucking quick laughter,
Yeah.
a drink, because I even bond with you even today, and it will continue till the time we continue to be nice to each other.
No, but listen, you can't leave this comment hanging in the air. What is it about Akhtar being your asshole friend?
Oh, A se Akhtar has to change to A se asshole. I'm telling
Kyun?
you, you have no clue. He's the only mean guy to me in my life, dude.
No,
Only mean
man.
guy.
No.
I cannot-
He's a sweetheart. What do you mean?
I cannot hang with him and a third person. I cannot. I have to hang only with him, and it all remains inside a room. The moment there's a third person, वो मेरे को नंगा कर देता है यार. Like he has I can, and he's one of the only guys who I can't I can't combat with. I can't really I can't finish the battle. He has to win it. So वो मेरे को निचोड़ देता है. Like he just finishes me off. He's one of those guys. That's why for me, like थोड़ा मेरा ego clash उधर ये हो जाता है. So he's an asshole only for me. But
There was, by the way, there was a question earlier on. I forgot who the question was asked by. They're asking, why does Clement have a hole in his chin? Please explain.
Oh my God! Someone noticed that.
Yeah, sharp eyes.
So I used to have a piercing here. I used to. Yeah, I used to. So that's the reason why you see that. I used to have one on my eye. काफी कुछ था यार पहले अभी निकाल दिया थोड़ा simple. But
You also had the hoops in your ears? Or Nasha had that? Nasha had the hoops in his ears.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
the big the one inside the ear.
Even Ajit had it.
Oh yeah. Correct.
Ajit Kwan. But Nikhil, I have this girl Muskan. She had done a course with us, a music production course, and she's moved back to where she's from. She's done some work with Mr. A.R. Rahman, by the way.
Oh, nice, very nice.
Really, really simple, nice girl, always communicating and wants to learn. She has a question for you, okay? I was asking about what should an artist look for in an independent record label, distributors like Disco Kid and Sign Up, CD Baby and all others before putting up their single, EP or album that will actually benefit the artist in the long run and help them grow.
Well, it's finding a record label that works for you is like finding a pair of jeans that works for you. Not every brand of jeans or denim will fit you the way that one particular brand does. I mean, we've all kind of experienced that through our years. We've bought clothes from different brands and you suddenly find that there's this one brand and there's one style that really fits you well, right? And then you buy like 3 pairs of jeans in different colors of that one brand or that one style. And I think finding a record label is very much the same. A lot of people just want to release on a record label, but you have to find a record label that works for your sound and also believes in you as an artist. Because it's not just a question of releasing on the label. There also needs to be a plan to promote the single, the artist. There needs to be a pre-plan, a release plan, a post-plan, so that the life cycle of that record or that song is something that's worked on jointly between the label manager, and the artist. So don't be in a hurry to just release on labels. And I think a great example of doing it right is Brown Coat. And over the pandemic last year, he put out a lot of great music, and he just had one philosophy. Don't release on labels that are not going to do anything for you as a brand. Work harder and try and release on better labels, because that is eventually what will push you. If you just release on a bunch of not so well-known labels, as opposed to releasing two so good labels, big difference. So put in the extra hours, put in the extra work, go back to a track, junk a version of the track, start from scratch, and get it to a level where a better label that you appreciate will pick it up, and then you can work with that label to build on your profile.
Wow, so Muskan, I hope your question is answered over there. It made a lot of sense, you know. And then coming back to Brown Coat, before we went into lockdown and when things were fine and allowed, and recently I had a workshop with him at the music school. Nikhil, you know, I've been friends with Naved again for like about 20 years. I was so amazed, man, this workshop that he conducted. He dil se, matlab, the way he spoke to each and every one of them, and the kind of things that you know, he eased out with, you know, from the production point of view for all the producers and stuff like that. I was just amazed because it was one of the best workshops, according to me. I'm not a producer, but I know, you know, we know our bits into production and stuff like that. हम लोग खाली बैठ के बनाने नहीं वाले, वो अलग बात है. So even the kids, man, they had a fab time. Like this, so the most simplest things, this guy, and you know, knowing Naved, वो जब तक तुम्हारे साथ अच्छा दोस्त नहीं है, तब तक वो उतना, you know what I mean? वो एक बार दोस्त बन गया तो वो he's दोस्त for life, right? Otherwise वो ज़्यादा time नहीं invest करता. लेकिन उसने उस दिन, maybe I don't know why, because it's him, me or what, but I really felt like, wow, like क्या बात है, I need you back here again. You know what I mean? Ashwin आया था, and man, I'm telling you, ये अपनी दोस्ती is so nice because that experience, the amount of time, like you said, no, you know what? Forget about you being a DJ, producer. The one quality you need is to be a nice human being. And trust me, the most simplest thing, but the most important thing also. The most important thing also. So I feel like, man, like we have come a long way, and I hope that we just continue being like this for the rest of our life. I was actually talking to Akhtar yesterday. I hope he's not listening to this conversation. Right?
He is. He says, he asked me a question just now saying, why are you even entertaining this guy? He's, what did he say? He's a heartless person, ask Shine.
Shine and him both gang up against me, man. Like I really have to start, like, you know, like putting my mind to work to combat when they two get together and stuff. Yeah.
Also, listen, very quickly, Ronnie asked an important question about how the scene has changed vis-a-vis DJs and producers. It's the scene has become more about releasing and about productions now, and he's right about that. The thing is, Ronnie, much the same way how MTV's changed, how YouTube, the advent of YouTube, changed the way people consume music. People didn't have to wait for a video by turning on MTV and waiting for hours for that video to come on. Now you just go onto YouTube, you type in the name of your video, and that video pops up. Similarly, there was a time when people went to clubs to discover music. And by going to a club and listening to DJs play long sets was when you discovered not just new songs and new music, you also began to appreciate DJs that told stories and played these amazing sets. However, with the way music consumption has changed, with streaming services, with YouTube, with music festivals, people are discovering artists not on dance floors, but they're discovering it on handheld devices and on streams. Which is why if you want to get booked as an artist, being discovered first is the most important thing. Back then you were discovered in a club. So the DJ playing music would then get booked to play in different clubs because he was playing such good sets. Great example is John Digweed. But now people are discovering music like Alan Walker on YouTube and Spotify. So Alan Walker then gets booked to play many events and many festivals. So they're two different things. I mean, you can go to listen to an artist because he's going to play your favorite songs. For example, Alan Walker or Kygo or any of the guys who play mainstream music. Or you can go to listen to a Guy J set or to a John Digweed set or Hernan Cattaneo set and just be amazed by music that you've never heard before and never come across. They're kind of two different things. Like today you're in the mood for noodles. Tomorrow you're in the mood for, I don't know, pani puri.
What's cooking, buddy? What's this? Kevin,
dude,
the pressure cooker's on
because my daughter has a full-on buffet. Food is cooked for her fresh every single day. So there's always something cooking in the kitchen. And it's,
Okay.
bhindi and chawli and rajma. And I wish I could
Kevin,
eat like that.
there's nothing for us, buddy. It's for the daughter. So
It's for the daughter, Kevin. Sorry, I know. And this mic is super sensitive. It always picks up the sound of coils and pressure cookers the clearest.
Gosh, I wanted to ask you something. I completely forgot. So there is now one more girl from my institute who has learned with us, Ibtisam. All right, she recently opened for some very big artists as well. Also, she's asking, how do I get signed on to Submerge? इतना मतलब ही है यार. We are starting our own talent management agency. I told her she wants to be signed on to Submerge. Actually, even Nikhil has no say over here because he himself is managed by Submerge. Nikhil doesn't really. I don't think so. No, Nikhil.
I am managed by Submerge. So firstly, Submerge, the agency, is looking to expand its roster. We are looking to do that, but we need to be able to do justice to the talent that we sign on the roster. So if you would like to be a part of Submerge, please send an email to hermit@submerge.in. HERMIT. Hermit@submerge.in. And if we feel that we can have a beneficial relationship together, then we'll explore that. If we feel that we may not be able to help you grow as an artist at this point in time, then we'll also say that to you.
There's one question I don't understand. When will we have a techno dance competition? I don't know if this is meant to be a competition of compilation.
I don't know. If it's a compilation, there's a great compilation that you can pick up. It's been brought up by Arjun Bagle. It's in support of COVID relief. It's to benefit the Hemkunt Foundation. So if you check out, Submerge has it on their homepage. Arjun Bagle has it on his homepage on Instagram. It's a fabulous compilation of Indian artists. And we're also going to be putting out a Submerge EP in the next couple of months. So look out for that as well, which is going to be a compilation of, again, about 8 to 10 tracks. So yeah,
what is
Submerge compilation, yes. Dance
Techno
competition,
dance?
I don't know. Maybe
it's
shuffling. Shuffling competition, shuffling. Yes. The best flicking.
Yeah. Oh God, I love it. You know. The thing is, like, I have so many reasons to not just participate in festivals like Satellite or many others. It's just not music. Trust me, it's just not music. There's so much I like to observe. You know what I mean? For me, the observation.
People watching
process.
is best.
Every festival, Nikhil, you know what? You and me have met in so many festivals, even in Europe and stuff like that. Couple of continents, you and me have bumped into each other and been a part of festivals. And I know how seriously you take your festivals. It's, again, you go there not just to network, not just to enjoy the festival of music. I know you go there to, every time you're there, it's to learn ki kya ho raha hai. You know what I mean? And then you try to bring that back here, and you have been a very, very, very responsible person for things to elevate really massively as far as dance music festivals in India are concerned, you know, from Sunburn to Supersonic to your own Satellite and stuff like that. Like, you know, when Sunburn started, man, there were 200, 300 people on the floor. There were barely cars from Goa and MH and from possibly Karnataka.
It's actually the other way around. The first year firstly, I just want to say thank you to Akhtar. He paid me a nice compliment in the comments. When we started Sunburn, the first year had about 4,000 people, but we made a big mistake there. All the marketing of Sunburn was done outside of Goa. So people from Bangalore, Delhi, Hyderabad, Chennai knew about Sunburn, but any festival in its first year, whether it's Magnetic Fields or Sunburn, the number of people who come for the first edition are always fewer because they're not sure of exactly how it's going to turn out, right? Magnetic Fields is enormous right now because it's gained a reputation, but in its first year, barely about 150 or 200 people there. And the first year of Sunburn in Goa, the shack 200 meters from Sunburn didn't know there was a music festival going on because we forgot to advertise in Goa. So all the people that came to Sunburn that first year were actually tourists that came from other cities. But people living in Goa actually had no idea there was a festival going on. And we fixed that in the next year. So we kind of learned as we went along.
I think it was all a learning process also, right? To put these things together, because तब तक इतना बड़ा scale पे कुछ हो नहीं रहा था, Nikhil.
Yep.
I mean,
I still remember people coming up to me after the first edition of the festival saying, "Man, I can't believe you got all these DJs." I mean, they actually came, and I was like, "Why would I advertise a DJ if he wasn't going to come?" People actually thought that some of the names you put there were just like, Bessie.
Yeah.
Why? Why would I? Obviously, if I put a name on a flyer that I am putting out, that Nikhil Chinnappa is building, why would I lie about the lineup? Concept क्या है?
नहीं, but I think जैसे कि देखो यार, you know what, दो तरह के रहते हैं ना यार. अमिताभ ने भी बोला था ना, कौन सा मूवी में, हम में, इंसान कीड़ा दो टाइप का रहता है. I don't know if you should watch the movie. That there are some people who won't believe you. They will always be suspicious of what has to happen. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what it was during those initial years, and then it became like a statement, ki boss, this is the kind of situation where things happen. I mean, these people are possible. Bro, I was fucking amazed in the last 6 months, the kind of DJs that have flown into this country to play and go back. Like, India
Yeah,
was
but
partying like, huh?
we also know why, because India was probably the only country in the world that was having these events, and the DJs were not getting booked anywhere else. There was no other territory that was open. Australia was closed, Europe was closed, America was closed, South America was closed. The only country in the whole, forget country, the only place in the whole of India, in the whole world that was functioning and partying was Goa.
No, exactly. And you know what? Like, I was a part of it as well, and I had friends calling me, video calling me from other parts of the world, because they are under strict lockdown. For them, this was like ये क्या हो रहा है? You know what I mean? It was hard for them to even believe. And then now, you know, now the world is going to start dancing, and we are going to be watching. I feel like that. You know?
Yeah, totally.
कुछ एक दो और सवाल, and then we'll wind up.
Yeah.
It's been fun, Nikhil. It's been almost 1.5 hours. I didn't think really. I thought like, no, 30 minutes, 30 minutes का होने वाला है कुछ बातचीत.
Yeah, that's what even I thought, because Pearl just walked by and said, "How much longer are you going to be on this call for? Because you said half an hour." I said, "Yeah, sorry, Pearl, we're just
Can we say
having
hi
fun."
to her? Is she okay? Is she okay to come and say hi to us?
She's with our daughter right now, so I don't think she can.
अच्छा ठीक है, चल कोई बात नहीं. I'll come home to meet her anyway. You know what? To a lot of them who are on this chat, usually you see Nikhil on the top section of an Instagram live, and everyone else at the bottom. And usually it's Nikhil's chat with the work that he's usually doing with MTV and Roadies and all that stuff. So today's live is about Nikhil, who he is actually as a person, and to know his point of view from the music in the music industry. It's got nothing to do with Roadies, because I'm not a part of Roadies.
ये introduction तो तेरे को पहले देना चाहिए था ना, 1 घंटे पहले.
यार मैं बोला ना, मैं नर्वस था यार, मैं नर्वस हो गया था. Nervous, because you are the one who usually interviews people, man. You are the one throwing questions, and you are the one like doing everything. आज ये reverse था, तो मैं genuinely मतलब थोड़ा मेरा पका रहा था. You know, अभी कुछ और sessions हो जाएगा मेरा ना, then I'll be a champion at this.
You're already a champion, Clem.
The music and the nightlife industry has seen its fair share of problems over the course of time. Do you think a career in electronic music is viable today? Great question.
To put it very simply, a career in electronic music or in the music industry or in the nightlife industry is as viable as a career in as a chartered accountant, a lawyer, a builder, any field. The thing is, in order to be successful in any career, you need to be in the top 3% of people working in that career, in that career path. So even if you're a cardiologist, there are lots of cardiologists that don't do as well as the top 3% of cardiologists in this country, who you can't get an appointment with. So in any industry, in order to do well, you have to excel. It's not just a question of being one of the people in the industry. Yes, of course, you can be one of the people and find, happiness in that. Nothing wrong. But if you do want to excel, you have to work hard. And that doesn't change for any industry, including the nightlife industry or the electronic music industry.
Okay, Nikhil, one more thing. This whole chat is from the music school platform, and you know, I run this institution for the last 5 years. I want to ask you something. Is a number of producers, DJs, performers are now actively setting up institutions for electronic music. You know, from whether it's like train a DJ or a music production. A stark contrast of being self-taught in the past. You, me, we are mostly self-taught. आज हमने वो सब साथ में डाल के we have done this. So do you think these institutions are a welcome addition to building the scene?
Yes. The short, simple
can...
answer is yes. The thing is, it's the example that I gave you earlier on. You can learn to DJ or learn to drive a car in about a week's time. However, if you want to do it professionally, like Lewis Hamilton does it professionally, it's a lifetime's work. If you want to do it professionally, like Carl Cox does, or DJ Akhtar does, or Clement does, then you have to put in a lot more work than just learning how to use the equipment. However, I think DJing can also be a great hobby. And I think that if you learn the art of DJing or the skills that are required to be a DJ, whether you do it using an automated software or whether you learn it using hardware, it just allows you to understand the craft of DJing and allows you to understand DJ sets a little better. But there is a warning. Once you learn to DJ, and you'll know this, and all the DJs who are listening to this will understand this, you pretty much stop having fun when you go to a club. Because you're listening to the mix rather than just having a great time. And if a DJ is not playing well that night, it screws your night up. Because you're really listening to what the DJ is doing. So I think learning the basics of DJing is great fun. And anybody who wants to do that should do that. I think it's very entertaining. But I think it's wrong. It is categorically and patently wrong of any institution or individual to claim that by learning their course, they can become a professional in 6 months' time. And you'll get a job and you'll be playing at nightclubs and music festivals around the country or around the world. That I think is wrong. I think selling people a pipe dream of saying, hey, give me so much money and I will turn you into a professional DJ. No. Nobody can turn you into a professional DJ. Nobody can do that. Just as much as nobody can turn you into a professional race car driver. You have to do the work on your own and nobody can help you with that. So if someone claims that they're going to turn you into a DJ by you joining that course, then they're bullshitting. But getting more people to understand DJing and doing like a basic course and learning just how to sequence songs and make a playlist for their cousin's birthday or for their sister's anniversary, it's a great thing. It's really nice. You can walk into a family function and surprise them and saying, hey, I've made a little playlist for everyone. I think that's great.
You make so much sense, man, Nikhil. I love the way you put things across because you know what? I also meet people who kind of try to, I mean, they're great with how to guide you and stuff, but sometimes the language is so hard to understand also, you know. But the way you're one of them, like I said, even when you speak on the mic, the things that you say, it's so simple to understand because then you have more people to connect. More people understand simple things, you know. So whatever you just said, I try and tell the same thing, you know, whenever I have, I do a few sessions with my students, whether they are producers, whether they are DJs, and you won't believe it. One of my most important thing I tell them is be nice. Be a good human being. Dosti badao, you know, because together we will conquer more. I lost you. I cannot hear you. You want to just lose yourself and come back quickly and then we can... Lost your voice. Hi, Akhtar. I know. If I'm not nice, I'm only...
Has it come back?
Yeah, it's come back. It's come back. It's come back. It's gone again. It's gone again.
Pause due to poor connection. Has it come back now?
Now it's back. It's back.
Okay. So I don't know what you were saying because I couldn't hear you. There was the audio went, but I just want to finish that thought to say that, you know, I think schools like yours and Akhtar's as well. I think Akhtar also had a DJ school for a while. The music school as well. you've got the right intention. You're teaching people the basics. You're teaching people how to get on with their careers. But then it's also important to be honest with them, to say, hey man, it's not slam dunk. Because the question that somebody else asked earlier on, right, which is this a good time to get into the career of electronic music? Can you make a career out of it? I think the question actually is it easy to make a career in electronic music? And the answer is no, it's not easy. You have to work hard. Becoming a DJ is not an easy option. It is one of the toughest options you will ever choose in your life. And I will only advise that for people who are completely devoted and crazy about music, to the point where their life would have no meaning if it had no music, which are people like you and Akbar Sami and Akhtar and the people who've been involved in music and as DJs way before DJing became cool. You guys didn't do it because it was cool. You guys did it because yaar iske alawa to kuch samajh mein nahi aata. Ye to bas yehi, this is the only thing that makes sense to me. That is why you became DJs. Now people want to do it to be cool. Don't do that, because you will fail. If you want to make a career out of it, you have to make sure that you will do whatever it takes, however high the mountain is that you need to climb, you will climb it and you will do it on your own to be an artist. That's the only way to approach it. Otherwise, mat kar yaar. Kuch aur आसान सा कोई career choose कर लो, like becoming a cardiologist. वो आसान है. DJ बनना आसान नहीं है.
Problem ये है कि कहीं भी अगर मतलब कुछ गड़बड़ भी हो गया, तो with that attitude, they don't know how to conquer it. They don't know how to move on after that. Their life gets stuck over there. Like with you, with Akhtar, like I'm telling you, I actually admire this man. I'm only going to tell this once, okay? The reason why we are friends and the reason why we connect and the reason why we are over 2 decades, even now, connected to one another is because, you know what? We know each other as people and we know that there's nothing called failure in front of us. Jis din kuch situation aayega, that person, I know I'm going to be there for you if you need me, but I know you possibly would never need me like that, because you know how to deal with your own situation and you will, you know what I mean? And these are the things that, like, from Nave to everybody else, that we have learned this ability is to deal with that situation when it comes.
And that's why I say it's very important to be a resident DJ, because nothing teaches you better how to deal with situations in the electronic space than being a resident DJ. I've never been one, but Pearl has been one, and she also tells me the same thing, saying that till you've been a resident and you know how to deal with all those different situations and dynamics and people and track selection and what to play and how to play, you're not fully there. You might be making a lot of money, you might be booked to play in lots of different venues and clubs and festivals, but being a resident is a alag kind of skill set which you can't teach that.
Some of the best DJs in the world are resident DJs of certain clubs.
Have been resident DJs. If they aren't right now, they have been resident DJs. I keep coming back to John Digweed. John Digweed was a resident and he booked better DJs around himself to further his own career. And eventually, his opening sets became so good that people started coming to listen to him play the opening set more than the main DJ. And you only do that. You're only able to get that skill by doing it over and over and over and over again.
Point noted. I hope this helps a lot of people over there who are trying to, figure out whether they can make a career out of this. And even a lot of the existing DJs right now have a lot of question mark about what's going on. Maybe you want to possibly say something in your own ways so that these guys, gather more courage.
Guys, the advice I will give to people who want to make it as DJs is to do what all of you guys have done. You've done it, Ivan's done it, every DJ who's come from the 80s and 90s has done it, which is they've gone and played in clubs when there is nobody there, when they're still cleaning the tables. Don't be the kind of person who says, यार मेरे को Saturday night पे ही बजाना है जब public है मेरे सामने और मैं उनको नचाऊंगा by playing the same top 10 songs that everybody else is playing. If you really want to become a DJ of repute and skill, go and start playing when there are only the bartenders, when they're cleaning the tables before the first person walks into the club, because that is where you will make your skill set or bring your skill set to a level where you can play in front of an audience. And the bartenders will be the first people to be honest with you, because they listen to DJs play day in and day out. They'll tell you कि यार ये अच्छा है ये नहीं है, ये काम नहीं कर रहा है, ये काम कर रहा है. They may not be DJs themselves, but they know what works.
And if you observe them
every night,
while they are working, if they're moving, you're doing a good job.
If the bartenders are dancing, then you're killing it. Exactly.
And then you can expect some free puddings also.
Yeah. That anywhere as a resident DJ, you get.
Hustle.
Listen, it's 1.5 hours now. Now I have to go because it's lunchtime, and I need to go and.
Nikhil, on behalf of Music School, my entire team that has pushed me to do this with you, they are big fans of you. I really, really thank you, not just as a friend, but from a professional point of view. Thank you for doing this with us. My love to you and everyone at home, and I will hopefully see you soon.
Thanks a lot, man. You take it easy, and it's been
Take care.
really good chatting with you and catching up.
Bye.
See you. Bye.